7:22. Now, a major review of public sector pensions is expected to recommend that people pay higher contributions, that they work longer and earn less in retirement. Well, the report is expected to say the pensions should be linked to career average salaries and not final salaries. Well, Jonathan Davis is a financial expert and joins us live this morning. Morning, Jonathan. It's rare these days for companies to have a final salary scheme. Are these recommendations likely to be a surprise?
It's not going to be a surprise. It's less to do with companies. It's more to do with the public sector, doctors, teachers, nurses, firemen, policemen, etc. And, you know, people have to realise the economy is bankrupt. Now, although the root problem is actually how much we gave to bankers, that doesn't mean that we can't sort out clear inefficiencies in the system. The public sector has been subsidised for their pensions for decades. A third of our council taxes goes on local council pensions. I suggest that that is totally way out of kilter with reality.
Well, is it? Because one of the issues is when we talk about the public sector, that is one thing. But in the private sector, we hear 18% staff bonuses for John Lewis staff who obviously are not funded by the taxpayer. They're funded by the shopper, but they clearly make a difference to them. And they feel that certainly their pensions are pretty important. And we hear about state-owned RBS who are already offering pretty high bonuses to the great and the good within that company. Traditionally, those who work in the public sector take lower paid jobs. They certainly have a huge amount of support for their local authority or the local part of government they work in. They stay there for very many years. They're hard working and they generally take a lower pay cut as a result.
There is no evidence whatsoever for this myth that those in the public sector earn generally less than equivalent jobs in the private sector. And I take out of that the banking sector that you mentioned. Banking is a law unto itself, and there are many reforms that should take there, but it's not happening. The public sector, any of your listeners should just send an email to their local council and ask how many people earn more than £50,000. And, they'll freedom of information, they'll get the answer and they'll be shocked. There is a lot of people in the public sector earning a lot of money, way beyond what is earned commensurately in the private sector. And then on top of that, they have really gold-plated pensions. Really, something has to be done about this.
But you mentioned, actually, in the introduction from when you were speaking, you talked about police officers and nurses. Obviously, there are no real comparisons in the private sector to those. We're already hearing about police under pressure to reduce their income by, in some cases, as much as 20% through cuts to overtime. So this will be, for them, for example, a double whammy. Nurses, are not exactly the highest paid, and you're also arguing maybe that they should have a reduction in their pension as well.
I believe that there is a comparison that can be made in the private sector in terms of level of responsibility and in terms of level of education. So no, I'm sorry, I disagree with you that those in the public sector are particularly poorly paid. And the fact is, the public sector has had a massive real rate of increase in salary and pensions over the last 10 years. I give the example of a general practitioner, which I happen to know off the top of my head. Not so long ago, GPs earned 3 to 4 times national average earnings. Now they earn in excess of 5 times national average earnings. And public sector pay has risen commensurately right across the piece. So, no, look, all they're saying is Lord Hutton, who actually is Labour, who is working for the government, he's putting forward proposals which I think are entirely appropriate, that because we are bankrupt as an economy, we cannot afford to fund the high level of pensions that people get in the public sector. And if you just look at the amount of money that public sector people receive in the retirement package, you will see it's really a high level in relation to what they were earning.
And just lastly, it's interest rate day today. The interest rates are likely to be set again. I mean, it's been on hold at the lowest rate in certainly in recent history for some time, growing pressure on some of the members of the Bank of England's Monetary Policy Committee to raise the rates. What is likely to happen today?
I don't believe that there'll be an increase in interest rates today. It is true that 3 of the 9 on the Monetary Policy Committee have now been saying that they want higher interest rates. I believe that economically we are in a dire position, and I just don't think that there's going to be significant rise in interest rates for a long time to come.
Jonathan, many thanks for joining us. It's great to hear from you. Jonathan Davis, a financial expert on the public sector pensions and also, of course, on interest rates.